Hi, it's Ileana, and today I'm going to be doing a tarot card reading about what's going on with the UAP/UFOs report and what's going around about the UAPs. Where do they come from? Where do the UFOs come from? What's the phenomenon? What's behind the phenomenon? As well as what's going to be in the report that comes out on June 25th. 2021, and what's not going to be disclosed in the report. So there are several ways of getting information about questions that you have. So I have 6 questions around UAPs, UFOs, as well as information around the report, what's going to be in the report. So that's what I pulled the tarot cards for my informational needs to figure out what's around this phenomenon, what's happening here, where these UAPs, UFOs are from, who's piloting them, where are they made, are they off-world origins, or are they from Earth? So those are the type of questions that I had for this tarot card reading. And I equate this type of tarot card reading to something similar to remote viewing, except I do have visual cues from which I'm pulling data from to assist me. And it's a little bit different, of course. But for me, it's similar process as remote viewing, because when I pull the cards and I look at the cards, I get impressions of information based on each visual representation of the card and what it says on the card and the meaning. This is tarot. So I used the Rider-Waite tarot deck and the Morgan Greer tarot deck. Anytime that I do tarot card readings, I use both decks, because when I ask the question, I always pull cards from both decks. They're similar, yet a little bit different. And I like to get as much information as I can about a subject. So I like to use a 14 card spread to do that, to get as much information as possible about whatever questions that I have. And this was a project that took me 3 days to do, because first I pulled the cards for all 6 questions. I took photographs of what I pulled with the cards for the reading. I read out the question out loud, each question, 6 questions, and I did the tarot pulling of the cards for all 6 questions. For each question, I had used 14 cards. And so it was quite a process. And then I put a report together of my findings from the tarot reading. I put my impressions down on what I got from the cards, as well as an explanation of what every card means that I pulled from the decks. And that's what I'm going to be discussing today, how I did that and why. So this is the tarot card reading about the UAPs and UFOs. So the first question I had is, what type of technologies the Tic Tac UFOs from 2004 and 2015 that were flying over the Navy carriers and jets, and what is the purpose of them flying in US airspace? And for each question, I pulled 14 cards in total. The first 7 cards are from the Rider-Waite deck, and the second set of cards are from the Morgan Greer deck. So for the first pull, I got the 4 of Cups, the 4 of Wands, the 10 of Cups, the 2 of Pentacles, and let's see, 8 of Swords, 7 of Cups, and the Judgment card. And that's, I got 1 Major Arcana card. So that's the Judgment card. The rest are minor Arcana cards. And then from the Morgan Greer deck, I got the 2 of Swords, 3 of Swords, 3 of Pentacles, the Magician, which is a major arcana card. Then I got the Seven of Swords, then Six of Pentacles, and also I got 10 of Wands. So these cards are very telling. And again, there's one major arcana card, and the rest are minor arcana from the Morgan Greer deck. So these cards tell quite a story. So I'm just going to tell my interpretation of these cards first, and then read the explanation of what the cards mean. So this is how I set up this session. Usually I just pull the cards and get the answers, but because this is a report, I'm also including the description of the cards and what they mean. So the impressions that I got is that the Tic Tac UFOs from 2004 and 2015 are a combination of reverse engineered craft and also technologies provided off-world from ET alliances to the military-industrial complex, several different type of ship configurations that are compact and adaptable for both spaceflight from outside planetary bodies in atmospheric planetary conditions, and also underwater conditions. Currently, this is classified and hidden information. The existence of these UAPs UFOs is being kept secret as part of the cover-up from the truth embargo, but this secret will be out in about 20 to 40 years. And the suppression of the scientists and military personnel who lost their lives trying to disclose the information about such technologies existing on Earth will eventually come out and be revealed to the world, and the atrocities and injustices that were done to these people. Many different scientists, from astrophysicists, engineers, aerospace workers, worked on the various Tic Tac ship projects to create the different forms of these crafts. The Tic Tac ships have the ability to create warp bubbles around themselves, and these crafts can create energy illusions to show mirages on radar screens. There has been much lies, cunning, and cover-ups that the US military and Navy knows nothing about the Tic Tac UFOs. So the cover-up is that they don't know anything about the Tic Tac UFOs when they do have firsthand knowledge, in fact, of what these technologies are and what their capabilities are. So they've known for a long time about this technology. There are portions of the military and Navy that want to have disclosure of what the Tic Tac UFOs are, but are sworn to secrecy and have been threatened in the past. There has been a long-standing burden and duty of keeping and holding secrets in the military and Navy that humans have been able to reverse engineer UFO crafts for the last 50 years. The scales of justice and the truth will eventually be balanced, as there will be communities within the military, sciences, etc., that will want to reveal the truth about UFOs. The UAPs UFOs are flying over US airspace, since it is the designated parameters where most of these crafts were created. So there is the flexibility and the resourcefulness to patrol the airspace and underwater ways where these crafts are assigned to protect Navy and military assets. So this was my impressions of the cards that I pulled. And here are the tarot card meanings. Four of Cups, keywords: apathy, contemplation, feeling disconnected, melancholy, boredom, and indifference, discontent. So there's a lot of energy around these cards. Four of Wands, keywords, community, home, celebrations, reunions, parties, gatherings, stability, belonging. So a lot of people's lives have been spent and time spent creating these crafts. So, you know, now it's not a stigma to talk about UFOs. So people are coming together in communities, but before it was stigmatic to even discuss UFOs. So things are changing. Nine of Cups. Wishes coming true, contentment, satisfaction, success, achievements, recognition, pleasure. Interesting. Two of Pentacles, balancing resources, adaptation, resourcefulness, flexibility, stretching resources. So a lot of resources have gone into creating and reverse engineering the UAPs and the UFOs. Eight of Swords. Keywords, trapped, restricted, victimized, paralyzed, helpless, powerless, imprisonment. That's what happened to some of these scientists and military personnel who first started to reverse engineer the unidentified flying objects or unidentified flying phenomenon. I prefer the word UFOs. Seven of Cups, keywords, choices, searching for purpose, illusion, fantasy, daydreaming, wishful thinking, indecision. So a lot of things went into reverse engineering the crafts. So there was a lot of illusion, fantasy, daydreaming of what it would mean to reverse engineer the craft and start using them, and a lot of choices and searching for purpose on the behalf of the scientists, a lot of indecision how this technology would be used. Judgment, self-evaluation, awakening, renewal, purpose, reflection, reckoning, like of what these scientists were making and doing. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And this is what it looks like. Yeah, so there was the Nine of Cups. Yeah. Four of Cups, Four of Wands, Nine of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Eight of Swords, Seven of Cups, and the Judgment card. And in the second deck, it was Two of Swords, Three of Swords, Three of Pentacles, a lot of twos and threes here. The Magician, Seven of Swords, Six of Pentacles, and Ten of Wands. So a lot of twos, fours, sixes, quite telling cards, and also a lot of imagery about water, about the air, clouds, ships, land, and also about illusions, manifestation, infinity. So these are quite powerful cards in building of things, deconstructing of things, balancing justice and injustices. So that's the first question that I pulled. And here's the second set of cards from the Morgan Greer deck. Two of Swords, keywords, stalemate, difficult choices, stuck in the middle, denial, hidden information. Hidden information being the key word of what these scientists were working on and reverse engineering. like the information about the UAPs and the UFOs is still hidden information. We're not getting disclosure that these types of crafts were reverse engineered on Earth. That's not going to be in the report. Three of Swords, keywords: heartbreak, separation, sadness, grief, sorrow, upset, loss, trauma, tears. So a lot of these scientists and personnel risk their lives to work on these projects. Three of Pentacles, keywords: teamwork, shared goals, collaboration, apprenticeship, effort, pulling energy. So there were some teamwork and a lot of collaboration and shared goals that these scientists did work on these projects. And that's what made these projects possible in the first place, because there was a lot of collaboration. And this was apprenticeship, because that's the first time they ever reverse engineered these things. Magician, keywords: willpower, desire, being resourceful, skill, ability, concentration, and manifestation. So these scientists were very smart. They had a lot of willpower. They had the desire to reverse engineer the crafts. They had ability. They had the ability to manifest by visualizing what these things would look like and how they would fly. So a lot of teamwork was put into this. Seven of Swords, keywords: lies, trickery, scheming, strategy, resourcefulness, sneakiness, cunning. And that was on the part of the military-industrial complex that hired these scientists to reverse engineer the UAPs and the UFOs. Unidentified aerial phenomenon for the UAPs and unidentified flying objects for the UFOs, but it's quite the same thing. Six of Pentacles, keywords: generosity, charity, community, material help, support, sharing, giving and receiving, gratitude. So the gratitude was that the scientists, some of them did come out of this alive. Some didn't. The ones that wanted to disclose before it was time, so they were suppressed. But some of them did live. Ten of Wands, burden, responsibility, duty, stress, obligation, burning out, struggles. So these scientists did struggle with what they knew, what they reverse engineered, where it came from, because the technologies were off-world when they started working on it. So they had a lot of secrets. They had a lot of obligation and duty, responsibility of not being able to disclose what they worked on. So, and this is from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. Question number 2 is, who was piloting the Tic Tac UFOs in 2004 and 2015? So the first 7 cards are from the Rider-Waite deck, and it's the Three of Pentacles, the Justice card, Five of Cups, Four of Cups, and Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. So, yeah, we have the Justice card, which is Major Arcana, and the rest are Minor Arcana. But again, there's even numbers coming up in here, 4, and then uneven numbers 3, 5, several times. So there's a pattern of 5s quite a bit in here. And then the other 7 cards were from the Morgan Greer deck. We have 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords, King of Cups, Page of Swords, 9 of Wands, 5 of Cups, and we have the Queen of Cups. So yeah, it's very interesting cards here. And the interpretation that I got from this reading for the second question was human pilots from the Navy and military working together in teams to pilot the UAP's UFOs. However, the technology goes beyond Mach 9. And in the experimental phases of testing the newer models of the compact crafts, both male and female pilots lost their lives as it took years to adjust, recalibrate the energetic warp engines in order to stabilize the Mach 9 gravitational forces so that pilots would not die mid-flights while testing the crafts that were originally designed for off-world beings. It took a lot of effort in negotiations to include both male and female pilots for the testing of these Tic-Tac UAPs UFOs, much time to reach equality for both genders of pilots as well. Remote-controlled UFO crafts were created with specific budget allocations, and new standards of piloting was created for the manned crafts, so lives would not be lost during future experimentation of flight systems. So compromises were made to include more safety parameters. The first pilots that tested out the experimental UAP UFO crafts sacrificed much, for some including their lives, living in secrecy, leaving families behind, and in some cases even having their identities changed in order to be able to work for these secret programs of experimental technologies that originated off-world. The pilots that were in the test programs had to be tough and resilient and having perseverance in order to survive the training that they were given in piloting the first experimental UAP UFO crafts. The pilots often lived solitary lives being alone, and the testing of the UAP UFO crafts had been done in the air and also in water. There had been psychological profiling data collected on the pilots by female psychologists to assert the mental state of the men and women pilots and how their minds were coping with the experimental technologies they were piloting. The mental consciousness and subconsciousness states of the pilots had to be in balance in order to be able to do the dangerous work that they were performing. Now that the UAP UFO crafts have their energetic warp engines calibrated, there is no risk of lives being lost going at Mach 9 speeds. Mach 9 speeds, and the pilots are more safer when flying these types of crafts. So there is no fear and even the excitement of having the experience of working with such technologies. And here is the tarot card meanings. Three of Pentacles, keywords, teamwork, shared goals, collaboration, apprenticeship, effort, pulling of energy. Justice, keywords, justice, karma, consequence, accountability, law, truth, honesty, integrity, cause and effect. Six of Cups, keywords, nostalgia, memories, familiarity, healing, comfort, sentimentality, pleasure. Four of Cups, keywords, apathy, contemplation, feeling disconnected, melancholy, boredom, indifference, disconnect. So there's a mixture of feelings from these pilots. Some positive feelings, since now there's no issues at Mach 9 speeds and they're not losing their lives. And those that did lose their lives in the beginning testing, of course, there's discontent, indifference because these people didn't survive. Five of Pentacles, keywords, hardship, loss, isolation, feeling abandoned, adversity, struggle, unemployment, alienation, disgrace. Because again, they were holding secrets and they couldn't disclose any of this. Oftentimes they were alone and isolated. Five of Wands, keywords: conflict, competition, arguments, aggression, tension, rivals, clashes of ego. And that's on the part of the military and the Navy. The higher-ups, they couldn't always have the same consensus about these projects. Queen of Swords, keywords: honest, independent, principled, fair, constructive criticism, objective, perceptive, because these psychologists were concerned about the pilots' lives in these projects, and the pilots were themselves very honorable. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And then we have the Morgan Greer Tarot deck cards. Seven of Pentacles, keywords: harvest, rewards, results, growth, progress, perseverance, patience, planning. So in the end, this technology has been successfully experimented on, reverse engineered, and it's flying, it's working. Six of Swords, keywords: moving on, departure, leaving behind, distance, accepting lessons. So there's a lot that the scientists and pilots have learned from reverse engineering the UAPs, UFOs, and creating their own crafts. So a lot has been learned. Some of them have left these programs, some died. So this is what's being shown. King of Cups, keywords: wise, diplomatic, balance between head and heart, devoted, advisor, counselor. So there were psychologists who were helping these pilots with the emotional things that were going on while they were doing the testing on the experimental UAPs, UFOs. Page of Swords, keywords: curious, witty, chatty, communicative, inspired, vigilant, alert, mental agility. So these pilots really had to adapt to flying these technologies in the experimentation. Nine of Wands, keywords: last stand, persistence, grit, resilience, perseverance, close to success, fatigue. You can only imagine what these pilots went through. Four of Cups, keywords: apathy, contemplation, feeling disconnected, melancholy, boredom, indifference, disconnect. So these pilots weren't always in happy states while working on these experimental UAPs, UFOs. Sometimes there was failure, sometimes there was success. Queen of Cups, keywords: compassion, warmth, kindness, intuition, healer, counselor, supportive. So there were support personnel in terms of the counselors and psychologists working with the pilots. So they did have help for mental health. And this comes from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. Question number 6. Question number 3. So this is question 3. Was it the United States Navy, Air Force, military, Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works that have created these UAPs, UFOs, or is it part of the secret space program technologies? And the first 7 cards are from the Rider-Waite deck. And we have 5 of Wands. Then we have the Devil card, the Tower. And these are 2 major arcana cards. Then we have the 6 of Swords, 4 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, and 3 of Pentacles. And from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck, 7 cards, we have the Moon, which is major arcana, 5 of Swords. We have the Knight of Wands, or Knight of Rods, as it's called in this tarot deck. We have the 3 of Pentacles. We have the High Priestess, which is major arcana. We have the 8 of Cups. And we have the 8 of Pentacles. So again, there's a lot of major arcana cards, which is important in terms of answering these questions. And my impressions on these cards. Funding from the Navy and military were provided for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works to assign the project to Skunk Works to build the UAP UFO crafts. So Skunk Works is part of Lockheed Martin. That's where these crafts were created and sometimes studied of what was done in the reverse engineering. There were many disagreements and arguments at first for how much funding the USAF should provide to Lockheed in order to get these experimental projects started. The Navy and military were at first dependent on Lockheed to supply the various elongated, cigar, circular, and triangular models of the UAP UFO crafts until the military started to create their own models in-house in secret engineering facilities. This caused conflict and competition between Lockheed and the military and Navy for a while before agreements were reached for each group to produce their own crafts, which ended the rivalry. The secret space programs have their own forms of UAP UFO crafts and do not need the Navy, military, or Lockheed to supply them with these types of crafts. Although the SSP factions keep an eye on what type of UAP UFO crafts are being produced on Earth and their capabilities. There are aspects of the military, the Navy, and the secret space program factions that are good and evil. There is a constant reference to keeping the balance between the various factions, as well as maintaining the secrecy that the military nor the SSP does not have any involvement in the production of UAPs, UFOs. Since the military and the Navy, as well as Lockheed, have their own UAPs, UFOs, there is now less tension and competition between the two, and things are more mediated in terms of civility, and there being less clashes of ego or rivalry or any types of, competition or rivalry. For the Navy, military, and Lockheed Martin, the building of the UAP UFO crafts was an opportunity to be the first to venture into the new frontiers of developing such technologies and to be more advanced than the standard propulsion systems that are presented to the world, as they have more room to maneuver with their advanced craft and do stealth work behind the scenes and not under the scrutiny of governments or people. The scientists and engineers at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works were very smart, talented, and had good craftsmanship in building the various models of the UAP UFOs, since they were giving unlimited budgets and resources to build these advanced technologies in order to be successful in these projects. Tarot card meanings. Five of Wands keywords: conflict, competition, arguments, aggression, tension, rivals, clashes of ego. So there had been a lot of competition. Devil card keywords: oppression, addiction, obsession, dependency, excess, powerlessness, and limitations. There was a lot of that. Since, again, there was a lot of competition between the various groups, and that created dependency, powerlessness, limitations, sometimes obsession and addiction as well. That's where the Devil card comes in. Tower card keywords: disaster, destruction, upheaval, trauma, sudden change, chaos. Because the groups were in competition, there was a lot of that as well. Six of Swords keywords: moving on, departure, leaving behind, distance, accepting lessons. It took a lot for this technology of the UFOs, UFOs to be studied, of what was reverse engineered, and to create newer models of this. So a lot of moving on, departure, leaving behind, distance, accepting lessons. The scientists, pilots came and went. Four of Swords keywords: rest, relaxation, peace, sanctuary, recuperation, self-protection, rejuvenation. Six of Pentacles, keywords, generosity, charity, community, material help, support, sharing, giving, and receiving gratitude. So once all the groups were able to independently build their own crafts, like the military, Navy, and Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, things settled down, and actually they formed their own communities, and they helped each other within their own communities. Three of Pentacles, keywords, teamwork, shared goals, collaboration, apprenticeship, effort, pulling energy. So once things were working smoothly, they were able to actually work as teams within their own communities and groups. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And now I'm going to discuss the Morgan Greer cards. Moon card, keywords, illusion, intuition, uncertainty, confusion, complexity, secrets, unconscious. So there was a lot of secrets in these projects. Five of Swords, keywords, arguments, disputes, aggression, bullying, intimidation, conflict, hostility, stress. So when the military, Navy, and Lockheed Martin were in competition with each other, there was a lot of that going on. Knight of Wands, keywords, courageous, energetic, charming, hero, rebellious, hot-tempered, free spirit. So a lot of these higher up bosses and all those programs, they were hot-tempered, free-spirited. Some of them had the right ideas, but they were being suppressed again by their bosses from trying to discourage these unfair and lawful competitions and aggression. So some of them were courageous and charming and even heroic, but their hands were tied. Three of Pentacles, teamwork, shared goals, collaboration, apprenticeship, effort, pulling energy. So again, this card comes up just like it did many times before. It comes up that there was at the end teamwork, collaboration, apprenticeship, and pulling of energies between various programs, because in order to make these crafts within their own groups, they had to work together, not against each other. High Priestess, keywords, unconscious, intuition, mystery, spirituality, higher power, inner voice. So there were people on the teams who made sure all of this did come together and work correctly, and to not keep the ego going. Eight of Cups, keywords, abandonment, walking away, letting go, searching for truth, leaving behind. Sometimes people had to step away from these projects, regroup, relearn, and basically search for the truth and how this stuff would work and how to make it work. And there's Eight of Pentacles, keywords, skill, talent, craftsmanship, quality, high standards, expertise, mastery, commitment, dedication, accomplishment. It took all of those qualities from the scientists, the engineers, the aerospace technicians, to make this all come together, to create these crafts and to work together, to learn to work together. That's the key goal here in the lessons learned. And this is from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. Question number 4. How is the Space Force connected to the secret space programs of Solar Warden, planetary corporations, and Earth Defense Force? And the cards that were pulled for this from the Rider-Waite is the Page of Cups, the Hanged Man, Ace of Pentacles, again, Five of Wands, the Death card, 10 of Cups, and the Four of Cups. And for the Morgan Greer deck, it was the High Priestess, Ace of Swords, Knight of Cups, King of Cups, Ten of Swords, I believe. So some of the cards you really have to count because there's a lot of imagery and symbolism. Ten of Swords, Five of Pentacles, and Six of Pentacles. So there's, in the first 7 cards, there is the 2 major arcana, the Hanged Man and the Death card. And in the second Morgan Greer deck, the High Priestess, major arcana. But these cards are all important. They tell quite the story again. And this is what the answer is, the impressions that I got from the cards. In the beginning, there was a blocking of granting operational status for Space Command and then Space Force. That was changed as Space Force is a needed branch for Earth's representation and interests in space. Space Force is the new bridge anchor to solidify the existing infrastructures and foundations of Solar Warden, planetary corporations, and Earth Defense Force. Soon there will be 4 branches of Space Force, and 2 of these branches will help to reconcile various differences that the Navy and military has with the way that Solar Warden, planetary corporations, and Earth Defense Force is governed. Space Force is the middle negotiating agency for mediating Earth's future representation in the various factions of the secret space programs. This is a new Earth program, space program, that seeks to remove the competition and the aggression between the various other SSP factions and bring everyone to the bargaining table of equal representation for the SSP groups, where there are new opportunities for growth and technological advancements, resources, trading, etc., and no barriers to those resources. Removing the barriers creates more equal representation and unity for everyone involved. Space Force is supposed to help remove any potential conflicts, competitions, arguments, aggression, tension, rivals, and clashing of egos between the various SSP factions, bringing everyone back to the bargaining table of equality and compromise to fair dealings between the different SSP groups. Space Force is supposed to make sure that the other SSP factions do not take unfair advantage of Earth, preventing any situations where there could be situations of fostering ruin, failure, bitterness, collapse, dead ends, victimization, and betrayal. The ideal behind Space Force is to seek equal representation and sovereignty for Earth's interests in terms of safety, defenses, space exploration, colonization of new worlds, and that is part of Space Force's operational pillars. So again, the idea behind Space Force is to seek equal representation and sovereignty for Earth's interests in terms of safety defenses, space exploration, colonization of new worlds, and that is part of Space Force's operational pillars. Tarot card meanings for the Rider-Waite deck. Page of Cups keywords: idealism, sensitivity, dreamer, naivety, innocence, inner child, and head in the clouds. So Space Force is a new space program organization. So there's a sense of idealism, sensitivity, innocence, inner child, and head in the clouds. Like this is a space program. So it's literally in the clouds. Hanged Man keywords: sacrifice, waiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, perspective, contemplation. So Space Force, it took a while to get Space Force up and running, to get the funding for it, to get it recognized as an official space program within the military, US military and Navy. It's separate, but it works with them still. So it took some time to get this all going. Ace of Pentacles keywords: new opportunities, resources, abundance, prosperity, security, stability, and manifestation. So Space Force has new opportunities, resources, abundance, prosperity, security, stability, and manifestation because it's been recognized as an official space program for the US and North America. Five of Wands keywords: conflict, competition, arguments, aggression, tension, rivals, clashes of ego. So Space Force did go through all of that to get recognized as an official space program. Death keywords: transformation, endings, change, transition, letting go, release. So it took a lot to get Space Force up and running again. This is represented in the cards showing that. The Death card. Then 10 of Cups keywords: happiness, homecomings, fulfillment, emotional stability, security, domestic harmony. Space Force is up and running. So the card 10 of Cups shows that. 4 of Cups keywords: apathy, contemplation, feeling disconnected, melancholy, boredom, indifference, discontent. So there was phases of creating Space Force, and it was up and down in the successes. Sometimes there were some setbacks and lack of funding, operational needs not being met. And then that changed. So the cards reflect that. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And now the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. High Priestess keywords: unconscious, intuition, mystery, spirituality, higher power, inner voice. So Space Force is something new. It's a better reality for what these secret space programs should be. It's about disclosure. It's about changing things for the better. That's what the tenets of Space Force are supposed to be. Ace of Swords keywords: clarity, breakthrough, new idea, concentration, vision, force, focus, truth. That's what Space Force is supposed to stand for and be. Knight of Cups keywords: idealist, charming, artistic, graceful, tactful, diplomatic, mediator, negotiator. That's what the commanders of Space Force are supposed to idolize and be. And the programs and branches of Space Force, looking out for Earth's interests. King of Cups. King of Cups keywords: wise, diplomatic, balance between head and heart, devoted, advisor, counselor. Again, King of Cups card. This is about diplomacy, balance, equality. That's what Space Force represents. 10 of Swords keywords: ruin, failure, bitterness, collapse, exhaustion, dead end, victimization, betrayal. So Space Force is learning from the mistakes of the other secret space program factions to not be like that. So it doesn't collapse. So it doesn't reach a dead end. So it's not victimized and betrayed. 5 of Pentacles keywords: hardship, loss, isolation, feeling abandoned, adversity, struggle, unemployment, alienation, disgrace. So the commanders of Space Force went through a lot to build Space Force from the ground up. They struggled. They had isolation, they had loss, and they had hardships. They did experience that. The 5 of Pentacles card shows that. And then there's the 6 of Pentacles. Keywords: generosity, charity, community, material, help, support, sharing, giving, and receiving gratitude. So Space Force has received the recognition that it deserves. So it's gotten the funding, and now it's under Earth Defense Force. So it has a wider operational ability to function coming under Earth Defense Force. Space Force is still its own organization, but it's partially under the umbrella of Earth Defense Force. And this is from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. Question number 5. Does the Space Force have TR-10 craft, and how are they using them? So the first deck that I pulled the 7 cards from was the Rider-Waite, and it was the World card, which is Major Arcana, Queen of Cups, 4 of Swords, Knight of Wands, High Priestess, Page of Cups, and 3 of Swords. So another Major Arcana is the High Priestess. The rest are Minor Arcana cards. And from the second deck, the Morgan Greer deck, it was the Death card, the Queen of Pentacles, the Star. So the Star and the Death card are Major Arcana cards. And 4 of Pentacles, 5 of Wands, the Hanged Man, and 8 of Cups. So some Major Arcana cards, and the rest are Minor Arcana. Again, very telling cards for this question, because the Star card signifies off-world, going off-world, being off-world, working on off-world projects. And the World card, again, in a broader sense, removing limitation, going beyond boundaries, going beyond into exploration of space, lifting the limitations. And here are my impressions of these cards. Space Force does have the TR-10 crafts, but it took almost 3 years to gain access to this technology and be acknowledged as an official space program. Among the other factions of the SSP, planetary corporations had been blocking Space Force's requests for their requisition and usage of testing the new models of the TR-10 crafts. But since Space Force is recognized as an official space program that is affiliated with the Earth Defense Force, it has been granted the use of acquiring the TR-10 crafts provided by planetary corporations and incorporating these crafts into the Space Force fleets. There is no longer a sense of separation of power in how much command Space Force has among the other SSP factions, as it is now part of the bargaining table for negotiations, being included as having the same amounts of privileges as the other secret space programs with spaceships and assets of fleets in space. Space Force has worked hard in order to earn its success and be recognized as its own branch of a space program faction that represents the interests of Earth. The TR-10 crafts are utilized by Space Force to ensure Earth's space orbit defenses are protected in affiliation with Earth Defense Force, allowing both groups to have more fleets of spaceships, and for Solar Warden to be able to branch out further in protecting our solar system. So all 3 factions have enough fleets of ships to protect our quadrants of space. In the beginning, Space Force depended on various governmental funding sources to launch the program, so it took time to set up its infrastructure and give it the directives of what it would be doing in terms of space governance, as well as disclosing to those that run Space Force that there are other SSP factions already involved in the domains of space protection. But since it has been incorporated with Earth Defense Force, Space Force is no longer reliant on purely governmental funding to give it the resources that it needs for its operational needs. Tarot card meanings. World keywords: completion, achievement, fulfillment, sense of belonging, wholeness, harmony. So Space Force has achieved being a fully recognized space program. Queen of Cups, compassion, warmth, kindness, intuition, healer, counselor, supportive. So there are personnel within Space Force that work for the greater good of what people need Space Force to be. Four of Swords, rest, relaxation, peace, sanctuary, recuperation, self-protection, rejuvenation. Space Force is safe and protected and up and running. Knight of Wands, keywords, courageous, energetic, charming, hero, rebellious, hot-tempered, free spirit. So the commanders of Space Force are personnel that are supposed to be in their roles, working for the betterment of Space Force. High Priestess, keywords, unconscious, intuition, mystery, spirituality, higher power, inner voice. So Space Force has strength and backing behind it. Page of Cups, keywords, idealism, sensitivity, dreamer, some naivety, innocence, inner child, and head in the clouds. So that's the beginnings of Space Force, but that's not how it is now. Again, it's gone through ups and downs to get where it is now, and it has success. Three of Swords, keywords, heartbreak, separation, sadness, grief, sorrow, upset, loss, trauma, tears. Yes, the people who work for Space Force have gone through that, and they've come out on the other side stronger and successful, but they've gone through stages of sadness, grief, sorrow, separation, heartbreak. It takes a lot of energy and strength to create a new space program. So that reflects here in the cards. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. The other 7 cards are from the Morgan Greer deck. Death, keywords, transformation, endings, change, transition, letting go, release. All part of creating Space Force. Queen of Pentacles, keywords, generous, caring, nurturing, homebody, good business sense, practical, comforting, welcoming, sensible, and luxurious. So those are the tenets of building Space Force, creating safety, creating generosity. There's a good business sense behind Space Force and what it's doing out in space and on Earth. Star keywords, hope, inspiration, positivity, faith, renewal, healing, and rejuvenation. Yes, that's all part of the positivity of what Space Force is and going to be, to continue to be. It's inspirational. And then there's the Four of Pentacles, possessiveness, insecurity, hoarding, stinginess, stability, security, savings, materialism, wealth, frugality, boundaries, guardedness. Yeah, Space Force experienced a lot of that when it was being formed because they were being blocked by the planetary corporations and not giving them the resources that they needed. 5 of Wands, keywords, conflict, competition, arguments, aggression, tension, rivals, clashes of ego. Yeah, that happened in the beginning because again, Space Force, just to create it, was facing an uphill battle, but they've been recognized as a space program. So they've gone beyond these concepts. They have what they need to function. Hangman, keywords, sacrifice, waiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, perspective, contemplation. Yeah, that happened. Because it took time to get the funding to create Space Force and get it up and running. And again, for it to get the resources that it needs to function correctly. 8 of Cups, keywords, abandonment, walking away, letting go, searching for truth, leaving behind. Yeah, I mean, the people working for Space Force, again, sometimes it takes the recognition, okay, it's time to walk away from this. We'll come back to the table. We'll bargain. We'll get what we need. Can put this aside for now. We'll still get what we need when we need it. But there's compromises to be made. There's also certain things we won't compromise on for what we need in resources. So that took time to figure out. And this is from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. And question number 6 was, what information will be included in the UAP UFO report due to be released on June 25th, 2021? What is the purpose of the UAP UFO report? And for the Rider-Waite 7-card spread that I pulled, the cards were the Magician, Major Arcana, Wheel of Fortune, again, Major Arcana, Knight of Wands, 3 of Cups, Queen of Wands, King of Pentacles, and the Star. The Star is Major Arcana. Again, going into space, branching out, seeing what's out there in space. And for the Morgan Greer Tarot deck, it was the Wheel of Fortune. So I got the Wheel of Fortune twice. King of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, 8 of Cups, the Sun. This is an important card, the Sun. And 10 of Swords. So the Sun is also Major Arcana. And the Wheel of Fortune comes up twice here. And the Star and the Magician cards are very important. Other cards are important too, but there's a whole story here with the answer to this question. And here's the impressions of what I got from the cards. The information that will be included in the UAP UFO report is that there are various possibilities in what the UAP's UFOs are, which does not exclude the possibilities of these crafts being of extraterrestrial origins. Some of the UAP's UFOs flying in Earth space do come from the stars and outside our solar system and even our galaxy. So they're of extraterrestrial origin. The significance of the UAP UFO report is to remove the stigma that does not acknowledge the existence of UFOs and to legitimize the study investigations of what UAP's UFOs are for current and future advancements of technologies that governments will be given at some point by the military and Navy, but not at this moment in time. While the UAP UFO report acknowledges that the UAP's UFOs are real, it does not provide an explanation or full disclosure of the origins for where the UAP's UFOs come from. The origins are that many of the UAP's UFOs are man-made and have been manufactured by Black Ops projects, Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, military, Navy, and by factions of planetary corporations, and been given to utilize by the Space Force and Earth Defense Force. As well, what the UAP UFO report does not disclose is that the sun is not what it seems. The sun has living beings in it, and also it acts as a large portal where various species of beings portal in and out with their crafts into our solar system. The UAP UFO report is meant to give some modicum of hope for the public that they will eventually receive disclosure in the future about the existence of extraterrestrials, advanced anti-gravity crafts, and much more, but the report will not disclose anything of significance in 2021, except that anything could be a potential possibility at this point in terms of the UAP's UFOs being from outer space. So number 1, being from outer space, they could be man-made, etc., except no one knows their true origins according to the first version of the report. So this is the only the first version. There'll be more in the future. This report will unify many of the UFO believers and those that believe that life exists on other planets, and make it acceptable to discuss the study of UFOs, UAPs, aliens, etc., without the stigma of shaming people for having such discussions in more open and public forums. For many of the people who are ET abductees, contactees, and experiencers who have been SSB assets, this UAP UFO report will be perceived as a sense of failure in terms of the truth being held back and disclosure being censored and suppressed to this day. Yet there is also a sense of a small victory that UAP's UFOs are being officially acknowledged by the US government as being real, and that the Navy, military, and the DoD, Department of Defense, are also coming to the same conclusion about this phenomenon, and it needing to be studied and investigated in more details to provide clearer answers of what the world is dealing with. So this is what I got the sense of the report, including and not including what comes out in the report and what doesn't, and why. Tarot card meanings for the Rider-Waite deck: Magician, keywords: willpower, desire, being resourceful, skill, ability, concentration, manifestation. So certain things in this report will come out, that UFOs are real, UAPs are real. They're going to say they don't know where they're from, but they do. And there's a lot of information about the sun that's not included in the report, that's still classified. Wheel of Fortune, keywords: change, cycles, fate, decisive moments, luck, fortune, unexpected events. So this report will go through a lot of changes in the future, cycles. And in the future, it will have some things disclosed that are unexpected in future versions of the report, like about the sun. Eventually, the things about the sun will come out. The science about the sun will change, but not in this report, not in this first iteration, first volume version of it. Unexpected events will come out later on. Knight of Wands, keywords: courageous, energetic, charming, hero, rebellious, hot-tempered, free spirit. So getting this report out is taking a lot of courage on certain people's parts. This report is about creating change, creating an open door, if you will, to disclose future things and future events. That's what this report is about. Three of Cups, keywords: friendship, community, gatherings, celebrations, group events, social events. A lot of people will be celebrating the coming out of this report. UAPs are real, UFOs are real. That sort of gives the legitimization that extraterrestrials are also real, to be able to more openly talk about these concepts and phenomenons, and for the communities to be able to discuss this without being laughed at or there being stigma about it. This is out in the open. UFOs are real. UFOs are real. The government is acknowledging this in the report. The military and the Navy is acknowledging it with the videos that came out in 2017. The media is writing about UAPs, UFOs, that it's disclosure, official disclosure. So this is where the celebrations come, that this is legitimate and it's been recognized. It took decades to get here, but we are making progress. It's not full disclosure, but it's the beginning of disclosure. Queen of Wands, keywords: confident, self-assured, passionate, determined, social, charismatic, vivacious, optimistic. There's hope. There's hope, and information is being disclosed. Not as much as we want, but it's coming. This is a beginning. This is the beginning in this report to opening the door. King of Pentacles, keywords: abundance, prosperity, security, ambitious, safe, kind, patriarchal, protective, businessman, provider, essential, reliable. So this report, UFO report, is like a business deal because, again, it opens up so many possibilities for the future. It's an opening of a door that has been closed for a while. Now it's creating reliability and stability for talking about these things. And it's also providing prosperity and a sense of security that will, and it's ambitious and safe. We're not going to be ridiculed anymore for talking about UAPs and UFOs and extraterrestrials. So it's very ambitious in the door being opened, yet it's very protective in a lot of the information still being disclosed. So there's multiple facets to this and what's going on. STAR keywords: hope, inspiration, positivity, faith, renewal, healing, and rejuvenation. Yeah, for many of these UFO communities, with UFOs being recognized as real in UAPs, this is a positive event, what will be said in the report and coming out of it. And it provides some form of healing and rejuvenation because these topics are no longer being stigmatized. And this is from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And also the star, it's like going out in space. UAPs, UFOs are connected to space. They're connected to the earth, to the water, and to space. And a lot of these cards show that. When you look at the meaning and the significance of the cards, there's ships, there's water, there's land, there's sky, there's clouds, there's the stars and the sun. That's very significant of what the story is and what's being disclosed through these cards. And then we have the Morgan Greer deck. Wheel of Fortune, change, cycles, fate, decisive movements, luck, fortune, unexpected events. This report has been in the works for quite a while, and it's now out. And that's somewhat unexpected and yet expected. King of Swords keywords: reason, authority, discipline, integrity, morality, serious, high standards, strict. So there's a lot of people on both sides of this report wanting to disclose and some don't. So there's high standards for this report, yet there's a lot of stricture in what will not be disclosed. So there's a lot of factors here. Some morality and lack of morality, some integrity, and a lot of lack of integrity as well. And a lot of reasons why things are not being disclosed fully. Some reasons for disclosing UFOs, UAPs, because this is a time it needs to be disclosed. That these things are real. They're flying in our airspace. So raising the questions, what are UFOs, UAPs? Why are they in Earth airspace? Who made them? Who pilots them? Are they ours? Are they extraterrestrial? Do the SSP's secret space programs make them? These are all the questions that this report raises. And it opens up the door to have a chat about this, about the whys and the reasons. What is this? What are these phenomenons? Knight of Pentacles, keywords: practical, reliable, efficient, stoic, slow and steady, hardworking, committed, patient, conservative. Yeah, some aspects of this report will be very conservative, and it's slow and steady going to have more versions of this report out in the future and what it will slowly be disclosing. Five of Pentacles, keywords: hardship, loss, isolation, feeling abandoned, adversity, struggle, unemployment, alienation, disgrace. This report is not going to make a lot of people happy. It's not enough disclosure. So some people will feel abandoned. They'll still feel isolation, adversity, struggle, loss, hardship, alienation, disgrace, because they didn't get full disclosure. That's what the Five of Pentacles is about. And a lot of the things are still classified. This report is not about declassifying what's classified. It's about giving a small fraction of disclosure, very small fraction. That's what it is. Eight of Cups, abandonment, walking away, letting go, searching for truth, leaving behind. So again, we're searching for the truth in this report, but it's not giving us half of the truth or even less than half of the truth of what we need. So most of us will just read it and walk away from it and let go of it and leave it behind because it's not giving us what we want. Full disclosure, it's not giving us that, not in this first version of it. So that's the Eight of Cups. And the Sun, happiness, success, optimism, vitality, joy, confidence, truth. The truth is, the UAPs and the UFOs, some of them come through the portals from the sun, come from the stars, they come from the clouds, they come from the sky, they come from the water. They're everywhere. Ten of Swords, keywords, ruin, failure, bitterness, collapse, exhaustion, dead end, victimization, betrayal. So for some, this report will be betrayal and a dead end because it doesn't, or a failure or a collapse, because it doesn't give us the whole truth of what the UFOs, UFOs are. And it doesn't really say that extraterrestrials exist. It implies they do, but it doesn't give full disclosure of what we're looking for right now and hoping for. So it's a dead end and sort of like a victimization and betrayal of the people, because this report is not for the people. It's just for Congress, to pacify Congress. So there's some bitterness about this and some failure because this report doesn't tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth of what disclosure should be or mean for us, the people. It's not delivering the goods, so to speak, not in this first version. So that's the Ten of Swords card. This is from the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. So this was a 24-page tarot card reading. And I found a lot of interesting answers from this report. Because I knew I was not going to get my answers by reading the report when it's eventually given to the public to read. So I needed answers, and I thought I would do a tarot card reading to get to the bottom of these answers. What's going on with the UAPs, UFOs? What's going on with this report? What will be included in the report and what won't? So I just wanted to share that today. Thank you so much.